Good morning, everyone. My name is MightyStream. I'm going to do your May the 15th Spiritual Principle a Day in a meditation. If you need to reach me, feel free to do so at recoveryofhope21@gmail.com. The title of the meditation is We Can Rediscover Hope at Any Time. When we see a member experience a real breakthrough with 20 or 30 or more years clean, we can see that truly recovery never stops. That comes from Living Clean, Chapter 7, Love. As a 12-step program, stairs are an easy go-to metaphor we often use to describe the recovery process. We climb up out of the darkness and despair of active addiction into the light of recovery. Some members say that the farther we go up the staircase, the more we have to lose should we go tumbling back down again. Living Clean describes recovery like a spiral staircase. Again and again, we come to the same view, only each time we are seeing it from a different perspective. One member shared with a laugh, "My staircase feels more like one of those trippy optical illusion paintings where the stairs circle back on each other and the laws of physics don't apply." The longer we stay clean, the more life we experience. And when we're actively working our program, we experience life deeply and continue to encounter more truth about ourselves all the time. Finding a new way to live takes on a different meaning when we stay clean for decades. We discover ourselves, reinvent ourselves, lose ourselves, find ourselves, discover ourselves again and again and again. The staircase circles back on itself. When we stay clean through it all and stay active in NA, much of our process is visible to those around us. It can be messy. We may grow in ways that cause us to drift apart from some friends in recovery. We may form new connections with other members we never thought we would get close to. We might have moments where we feel silly or slow for having a realization about ourselves so far down the path, only to have our friends respond, "Oh, yeah, we've known that about you for a long time." Few of us end up having the lives that we would have expected to have, or even being the people we would have expected to be when we first got clean. Our fellow members love us through it all. No matter how far along we are, when we share our new discoveries, we share our hope. My journey may not look like what I expected or what I think others expected. As my horizons broaden, I will relish every discovery and freely share what I have learned so others can see how my journey continues. Long meditation, but beautiful, right? So applicable. Let's take a moment of silence followed by the we version of the Serenity Prayer. Moment of silence now. Thank you, God. Grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Just for today, please and thank you. I was on a meeting the other day, actually the same meeting But I was on the meeting for about 3 hours, and the topic was the 11th step. And, in the 11th step, we're talking about having um, the ability, right, to maintain a conscious contact with our higher power, asking for the knowledge of His will, of God's will, right, and the power to carry it out. That conscious contact is maintained through prayer and meditation. And as always, when we get to the third step, or it's not like Celebrate Recovery, where you can come in, and if you have the God of Christianity, you can speak openly about that, right? It's not like Celebrate Recovery. It's that level of freedom to expound on scripture and your beliefs that way is not there in this 12-step program, even though speaking about God is, right? Religiously speaking, we don't try to push religion, and we don't try to worry about who or what another person's higher power is, or if they have a religion. None of that. We just don't. And it makes it more inclusive. So anytime you start talking about the third step or the 11th step in this fellowship, there will be those that dare to go into religious discussion. And most of the time, if a person is involved with a religion, they believe that's the proper religion for themselves. So sometimes those discussions can go to places that were never intended to go in this 12-step program. And people have a good grasp for quotes in literature that support their point of view. But taking it all into consideration, it's the intention of the fellowship to remain neutral and not to have a say about someone's religious walk or their higher power or their spirituality in that sense as it applies to religion. So in this particular meeting, that was the discussion, and we were actually reading the whole chapter about the 11th step. So my first share, the first hour, when I finally had a chance to share, I shared a little bit about the older literature, the fourth edition of the basic text. And I talked about how that last personal story that was in that edition before it was removed for the succeeding editions was a story written by an atheist. It was the story of an atheist. And I thought that that was beautiful in this sense, because I think people need to have that perspective that not everyone comes here with a faith or with a God or even wanting one. And they're very secular in a sense. And so I thought that story in there was very appropriate. And sometimes I would point people to it if they seem to be struggling with their spiritual walk in the sense of having a higher power even. And it was just very like a blanket share, right? I wasn't attached to it emotionally, and the day was difficult. It was Mother's Day. And so I thought to myself, well, re-raise your hand and maybe you can share about where you're at. Well, the shift for that host ended, and I ended up being the last share, but I ended up using probably about 7 minutes to actually finish the chapter and reading. It wasn't what I expected, but as I was reading, I was like, this is such a beautiful, like the information, where did it go? Why haven't I reread this in so long. This is from the basic text, right? I'm like, this is amazing. This was amazing information. And so I knew that the host was concerned about the time because now when I'm done, we're right at that shift change. And so respectfully, I just say, that was really sweet to be able to read that. And I'm going to respect the time. And I ended my share. I thought that was what I needed to do. And still, second share, second hour, not getting a chance to talk about where I'm at in regards to Mother's Day. Big discussion. So I go into the next hour and I raise my hand eventually again, like I'm about number 12. So if, the host isn't doing a lot of talking themselves, I probably will get a chance to share. And sure enough, in the last 10 minutes, some people didn't open up their mic and I was able to share. And there was a person that shared directly behind me, and they were so targeted because my share was very emotional, and they insinuated or indicated that I was somehow during the other shares happy-go-lucky, but during this share just so sorrowful, you know. And I thought to myself that I wonder what makes a person cross share like that. What makes a person judge where another person is? Because I was only following the format and sharing on topic the other two, I was just wondering what makes a person feel like they can target you like that. And in my mind, I'm thinking, and get away with it. But I believe that this particular meditation is helpful because to me, it felt like a breakthrough. It felt to me that I had finally gotten to the point where instead of being quiet about where I was at, that I wanted to share that. And I want other mothers to know and fathers to know that even with all the clean time, it doesn't stop us. I even talked about how old my children would be if they were alive. And it was amazing to me to think that before I got to Narcotics Anonymous, I didn't have the solution. But now, coming to the fellowship and committed to this process of recovery through working the steps, I've had a spiritual awakening. And through maintaining conscious contact with my higher power, I have found out what the will of the God of my own understanding is for me. And I have been given the power and the strength to carry that out. And that's how I ended it. That this is just amazing to me that even through the storms, which would have been yesterday, going through those storms emotionally, even through them, choosing to breathe and choosing to live and choosing to be vulnerable. And I just really want all of us to be a little bit more kind today. When we're listening to people share, let's be a little bit more kind today. Let's remember that we don't know their story, nor are we in their God, nor are we in a position to try and judge them, correct them. But let's just be compassionate and understand that this is a process. When you see an older member or a person with more, with decades clean and they're having a revelation or they're having a breakthrough and they're sharing and taking the risk of being vulnerable, because there's always that possibility that one person sitting in the room that is going to come back and judge them. There's always that possibility. Don't let it be you. Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. Now, I'll probably address it with this recovering person. I'm just not sure how I want to go about it. But today, I want for you to take away that you have a right to rediscover hope at any time, no matter how long you've been clean or not. If you've been clean a long time or not, it doesn't matter. This is your journey, it's your staircase. And if it goes straight up and comes back down, or if it feels like an escalator, or if it's a spiral staircase, or as one addict put it in here, a trippy optical illusion, it doesn't matter. It's the steps that you're on. And there'll be other people that will join you. And those people that join you in the process that you're on, those are gifts, not givens. Those are gifts. And so value them. And I'm hoping they value you. Otherwise, they wouldn't be on the journey with you. My name is MightyStream. I've enjoyed talking to you today. I hope you have a beautiful day on purpose.